Okay, I think everything is working now. So without any further ado, let's get started. Let me just delete this real quickly. Okay, so we are going to be following the same drill. We'll look at the question, we'll try and answer it. If we get stuck or anything, we'll check the mark scheme and then we'll verify whether we are correct or not. Right? So the first question, it says, take one external device. Okay, so I know sound card is inside, or it's an internal device. Pen drive looks like an external device, so it can't be pen drive. Motherboard and ROM or ROM are, of course, internal device, so this should be B, pen drive. Then it says a computer system uses both analog and digital data. Explain what is meant by these types of data. So analog data is basically continuous values. So it's like continuous data within a range of values, whereas digital data is basically like binary and discrete data. So this is in a wave form and it has low bandwidth. So these are extra information I'm giving you. So it's like this. This is how analog is, and this is how digital is in case you're asked to draw. Okay, so that's for these two. Let's check. So pen drive, continuous data, any values in a range, yes. Discrete data, binary, yes. So digital data is processed in the computer system. Sometimes digital data needs to be converted to analog data. Explain why digital data may be needed to convert it to analog data. Okay, so I think I've done a stream where I've answered this question, and it was that so that the data can be understood by humans, or so that it can be used to so that the data could be sent to control devices such as actuators. Let's check what it has to say here to control an external device to be sent to an actuator. Now, this is the thing with ICT. The mark schemes keep changing. Like this is 2023 and the answer I gave was from I think 2024. So that's the thing. You have to be doing all the recent papers and not the 2019, 2020 papers so that you are up to date with the mark scheme. I'm sure the ones I said will also give me the mark, but in the mark scheme it says to control an external device or to be sent to an actuator. Okay, then it says use the most appropriate phrase from the list to complete the sentences. Your answer must be different in each case. So I have analog data, digital data, display a graph on a monitor, input the maximum safe water level for river, measures, okay, so measures, inputs, displays, and these are types of data. So these are the keywords I'm highlighting, controls, humidity level, and opens. So as you can see, open means it's doing an action. Control means it's probably part of the control device, one of the control device. This is an input device. This is a measuring device. Yeah, so let's check. A motor is used to what? So motor is something that will do an action, right? Which so that should most likely be the windows in a greenhouse. Open up windows in a greenhouse. That's what I think. Let me just yes, so this, yeah, a DAC outputs. So a DAC stands for digital to analog converter. So if it's converting from digital to analog, then of course it has to output analog data. So I think I'll send it here like this. Yeah. Then a sensor. Okay, a sensor is used to measure and control. Not control, it's just used to measure. So control will be done by control devices, like we said, actuators. So I think this should be measure acidity levels in a river because that's what something a sensor is most likely to do. Now, before we move on to the next question, let's check whether this open the windows, yes, analog data and measures acidity levels in a river. Before we move on to the next question, let me just check if the stream is running because I've done like 3 streams for like 1 hour and then when I saw it was my internet that wasn't working, so I wasn't really streaming. So give me a second. Yeah, Ben, I think you can also add that it comes in ones and zeros. Usually what in the mark scheme it says that it should either be binary or slash ones and zeros. So any of it that you mentioned, you should get the mark. I didn't add it here because it was just one mark, but if you add it, you will definitely get the mark for it as well. If you can hear me and then see the stream, just send an hi, or I'll have to check for my phone whether the streaming is on or not. You can hear me, then I can continue. So then it says identify three different network communication devices and describe what each one of them does. Okay, so it's 6 marks. So I'm going to guess 1 mark for each over here to identify and to give description. Now they're talking about network devices or network communication devices. So the ones that I can remember, let me write them down. So I know router should be part. I know hub should be part. I know switch should also be part. And I think that bridges should also be part. So these are the ones I think should be part. I'll just put them here. And so these are the ones I think should be part. Now, how will you describe them or explain them? So I feel like the ones I can properly describe and explain for this one could be router, could be switch, and maybe could be bridge. So let's start with router. Now we all know what router does, right? So my device one router. A router is used to uh, it's a router is used to help connect devices on a network to the internet, or you can also say it's used to transfer data packets from network to network or to route data packets using a routing table. So that's something you can say for router. Then moving on to switches, I think switches can be said, okay, so they're used to send data to a particular device on a network by using the MAC address of it, and it sends data to only one computer and not all the computers in the network. I think that's something you can say. Then for bridges, I think for bridge you can easily say that a bridge is used to connect multiple two or more LANs together with the same protocol. Um, yeah, I think for 6 marks that should be enough. Let's check. Okay, 1 mark for a correct network device and 1 mark for a description of what it does. So even if you don't know the description, do not leave it blank. Just write the three devices at least so that you'll get 3 marks out of the six. So a router allows a LAN to be connected to the internet. Yes. A router allows data packets to be sent to the LAN. You can use a bit of a different wording as long as it fits within these two or it makes sense and you should still get the mark. Hub, okay, I didn't talk about Hub, but yes. Hub connects devices so that data can be broadcast to all. Now, the keyword here should be all because that's what differentiates a hub from a switch. To all the devices, expands or to all the devices on a LAN. It uses a network interface card and connects devices to a network. Oh yeah, we talked about bridge. So it connects two LANs of the same protocol together. A bridge creates a single LAN from separate parts. So you have separate parts of different LANs, and a bridge can combine all of them together into one single LAN. A switch connects computers together to form a LAN, allows data to be sent to individual devices. Now, I usually talk about these ones, but what I didn't say that it connects computers together to form a LAN. It's important that if you're saying it connects computers together, it's important you add a LAN because we have different types of network systems. You have LAN, you have WAN, you have MAN, you have WLAN, and all those. So it's important you add what type of network you're forming because these network devices are specific to each one. So see LAN, LAN, then again LAN, LAN. See over here, WAN. WAN is basically wide area network if you didn't know. So that is that for the third question. Let's move on. Okay, just before that, quick check. I apologize for pausing it so many times, but I have to be checking because of my previous experiences. Can you still hear me now? Just to confirm. I think it's working, so I think I'll just go ahead with it. All right. Oops, not here. Yeah. So a teacher is creating a database for a class library. The teacher types the details of each book into the database, okay? The teacher has entered a number of records. Identify and describe a validation check. So this is about the validation checks, and you should know all the validation checks that are there based on the data shown in the database table, which could be applied to the data as it is entered in each of the fields. Each validation must be different. Each validation check should be different over here. Okay. So book number, looking at it, I can see that the book number is always going to be different, which means it's the primary key. So I can easily come here and say that the validation check should be that it is it's a presence checks because because it's a primary key, it cannot be a null value. It should be a valid value present. Then coming to date acquired, for dates, the best one is to go for format check. Was date acquired? Yeah, format check, and then you can type that it should be in the format of dd slash mm slash yyyy, and you should get the mark. Another thing for dates, you could go check. That means that your data should be within, like, it should the dd part should be within the range of 1 to 31 maximum, and the month should be between um it should be between 1 and 12. So those are some format checks that you could easily apply. So I've given here and here. But I always go with, sorry, that is the range check I was talking about, but I always go with the format check. ISBN, okay. ISBN, it feels like it's some kind of number. So I can't go with character or type check and say that all the characters should be numbers or integers. But I feel like even if I wrote check digit, I shouldn't be given wrong, though I'm not sure how I would describe that. But yes, let's check. So for the book number, length check exactly. Each data, okay, so it should be 4 characters long, yes. Must be an integer. Range check. It should be within 1000 to 9999. Now, writing range check for book number isn't something I would recommend because they haven't really told you within which range it should be. Stick to the presence check if you know it's a primary key. To check that the field has data and it's not null. Date acquired, yes, range check and then format check. So the date is between two dates and the form, yeah, so it should be like this. ISBN, okay. So check digit, the number is checked by calculation of all the separate numbers. Character check, data must be an integer, exactly. This was quite an easy one. Okay, now comes the comparison between the types of computers. So a group of pupils is planning to create a newsletter for a history project. The group can either use a smartphone or a phablet computer. Now, phablet computers don't come up as usual as smartphones, laptops, and personal computers. So I would recommend studying it a bit, which you will now as I discuss it. But still, just go over it once on your own because I feel like this could come, maybe, I'm not sure. Don't trust me, do your own preparation, but just focus on what some of the topics I'm saying. So what is meant by a phablet computer? A phablet computer is basically a hybrid or a combination of a smartphone and a tablet. Um, it's a bit bigger, like the size is a bit bigger than a smartphone, but it does the same functions as a smartphone. I think that should be enough to explain that. I did mention 2 points there. So, okay, so they are creating a newsletter, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using a phablet computer rather than a smartphone for this project. Again, this the 6 mark question. Yes, it's never leaving us, right? So what I would do is I would give advantages here, and then I'll come down and write my disadvantages here. Typically, I would suggest you write at least 3 over here and 4 over here, or the other way around, you write at least 4 here and at least 3 over here. Just to be sure, because the way the marks needs are changing so drastically, like the answer is there in one year, the next year the answer is not at all there. So you never know whether you're actually correct or not. So just to be safe, we'll go with this. If you know more points, don't feel free to add them. Okay. So coming back to the question, some of the advantages of using a phablet computer. Okay, so since I see that students are creating something together, that means that since phablets have a bigger screen, more people can see it together. Since it has a bigger screen, data entry will less likely have okay, so data entry could be faster because of a bigger keyboard. Then it has bigger screen, so controlling the things in it is easier. So as you can see, my 3 points here. Now I'll come to my disadvantages. Disadvantages is that students are more likely to have smartphones, or they are more likely to keep smartphones with them at all times. If audio needs to be inputted, smartphones have better quality. If video needs to be taken, then again, smartphones have better quality. And phablets are a bit less portable than smartphones due to their size. These are some of the points I could think of. Can you guys think of any of them? Um, think yeah, these are 3 should be enough. But let's check them, ask him and see other points that are there. So a smartphone and tablet hybrid that functions like a smartphone. Device has the same features as a smartphone and the size is between a smartphone and tablet. Okay, so it's like if you had a tablet and a smartphone and they had a child, that's what phablet would be. Okay, so let's say if a smartphone is this big, right? I'm not going to draw the details in the camera, and this is how big um yeah, so this is how big I guess a tablet is. Then a phablet would be around this much. Yeah, so its size is between this thing, it's between a tablet and a smartphone. Now coming to the advantages, it has a larger size, so it's easier to read, to navigate, click on icons, type, edit, text, and all that. Better control over the layout. We did mention these two. Due to the size screen, more people can view. I also did say that. The on-screen is larger, making it easier. I think I did say this. Okay, so that it's easier to connect devices onto a phablet. So I feel like phablet has more connectivity than smartphones. Maybe it has extra ports. Let's just check what phablets look like just for visual confirmation of actually like. So yes, I don't think phablets are used that often now. It's like you have a phone, like you have flip phones that when you open like expand them or open them, they become phablets or so. I think that's what the future, or that's what people are now manufacturing. While this takes time, let's look at the disadvantages. It's less portable than a smartphone, more difficult to record audio messages due to its size. If camera is to be used, then it's easier to use a mobile phone because of the camera. Pupils are more likely to have, smartphones with them. So these are what phablets look like. So as you can see, not so common nowadays, but I think they were pretty common back in the days. But yeah, let's move ahead. Many teachers use multimedia projectors in their lessons. State 2 health issues associated with the use of multimedia projectors. Okay, so health issues, one of my favorite chapters because there's not really much to remember. Now, over here, please note that you can't mention RSI because there's no mention of you having any repetitive movement or anything. So mentioning RSI here is more likely not going to get you the mark. But eye strain, because you're watching the projectors, maybe backache could work, headache could work. Yeah, so I think one of these three could work, but this one that we mentioned over here, RSI, will definitely not work according to what I think. Then state two safety issues associated with the use of multimedia. Now, safety issues is different from health issues. Health issues are the one we mentioned over here. Safety issues is something like trailing leads, no, tripping from trailing leads of the multimedia projector, electrocution due to, I don't know, spilling water or spilling liquid on the multimedia projector, or fire due to overheating, I guess, or maybe the projector falling and injuring students or teachers or anyone around. These are safety issues, right? So as you can see, eye problems, headache. Okay, burns is something I don't know if I don't know if it's talking about burnouts or not, because I haven't really seen burns as one of the health issues before, but it's there, I guess. So projector falling on the presenter, electrical fire due to overheating, electrocution caused by liquid spilling on the projector, tripping over trailing cables. Yeah, didn't mention those. Okay, so a video of a race can be recorded using a camera either on an autonomous flying vehicle or in a helicopter. A person would be needed in the helicopter to operate the camera. Describe two advantages and two disadvantages of using an autonomous vehicle, flying vehicle, which is the drone, to record the video of the race. Okay, now this was a question that came in my mock paper, if I remember correctly, for this year, like the one that I recently wrote. And when I was in the paper, I felt like the answers I was writing were not there. But then when I checked them asking, they were actually there. So even if you don't know the answer, try and think logically. For example, this was what I was thinking in the exam paper. Let's say I have a helicopter and I have a drone. And if I'm the one actually operating them, then what would be my advantages and disadvantages? So advantages could be something like the drone can get more close-up shots compared to a helicopter. Then the drone what else? So I'm flying a drone, and then drones are cheaper because it's just like a small drone compared to you actually being in a helicopter. Now, disadvantages of using the drone. Okay, so now the disadvantages and advantages should be related to the drone compared to the helicopter. So your main focus should be drone, and if you don't really know something, then the helicopter can come in. So, uh, okay, so if there's a car race happening and my drone is suddenly there, then I think that that could distract the drivers driving. So drones could distract the drivers in the race. Or I feel like, okay, so if you know how if you fly your drones too far away and you lose control because well, your signal breaks, then you're not able to control them again. So if signal is lost, then it's difficult to regain control. It's something I would have said or I did say. I don't quite remember. But yeah, so these are how you go about questions like these, even if you don't know the answer. Okay, so it's safer to use drones than risking the human filming the helicopter. It's cheaper, yes. The drones could fly closer to the competitors, exactly. Drones can be used in areas that would not be accessible to the helicopters. Yes, for example, let's say that the cars are going to pass through a tunnel, right? Now, of course, it's not possible for you to send a helicopter inside to record. So drones can easily go through and then record the race. That's why this is what they said here. Disadvantages, more difficult to fix camera problems as no human present. So if anything happens with the camera, maybe it's blur or anything happens while the drone is flying, there's no human present beside it to fix that. The range of the drone is smaller. There's a fixed range that the drone can fly, whereas the helicopter can fly like almost everywhere. The drone can become a distraction as it's closer to the race and it may fly out of the range and lose control signal. Exactly. State the most appropriate storage medium from its description. Okay, so a storage medium that stores data on the internet. That's my biggest thing to tell me that this is cloud storage. Easy. Internal devices where the current instruction is stored. Again, another hint. This should be RAM, read-only memory, another hint. a solid state storage that is used in digital cameras. I think SD cards would be correct. An optical storage medium. So optical storage medium that stores HD movies. Easy, they should be Blu-ray. Yeah, Blu-ray. Now, what was I? Yeah, so ICT is not like CS. CS is more like logical. CS is more like learning the code, pseudocode, and all that. But ICT, you have to like actually interact with the devices and everyday like objects and everything to actually be able to answer, even if you don't know. For example, this question over here, they don't, it's not in, I haven't seen it in our textbook, or like I haven't read the textbook completely, but still like any of the notes that, oh, cameras use SD cards or anything. I've seen like cameras with SD cards and everything, which is why I know it. So this is why you need that practical knowledge to get the top band marks that you're looking for. So cloud storage, RAM, you can see SD card. If you had said memory card, that's also correct. XT or CFast. So like this is not usually in our syllabus, but for someone that uses cameras and knows what or knows this thing around, if you mention that, he's still going to get his mark. So Blu-ray disc, exactly. Moving on, okay, the big question, 6 mark. Okay, no problem. We'll get through this. A hospital administrator enters data from medical forms into a database. Validation and verification are both used when entering data to minimize errors. Explain what is meant by validation and verification and why they are both needed in this scenario. Now, it's a 6 mark question, so I'm damn sure that you are going to need at least, yeah, so at least two from validation, two from verification, and two from this. Or else I don't think you can get the 6 mark you're looking for. If you came and mentioned like 7 points over here, but maybe one and one over here, the maximum you're going to get is two from here, and one from here, and one from here. Four out of six. So all the 7 points you wrote are useless if you don't develop on this and this point. Okay, so let's talk about validation. Validation ensure that the data that you're entering makes sense and it fit within a particular criteria that has been set. That's validation. Verification is when you're copying data from an original. Okay, so verification is like the process ensuring that the data being copied from an original document or original place is being copied as exactly as it is without errors. Okay, and what I can also say about verification is that it's ensuring that when you're entering data, it is entered correctly and accurately without errors. So that's something I would say for validation and verification. Now, again, that's something I didn't mention. There's a reason why they have given you this scenario over here. There's a reason. Why? Because I can talk about validation, verification, but why they're both needed in this scenario. All the 6 mark questions are usually scenario based. So you have to look at the scenario and then answer. Now, it's a hostile administration. So that means that personal data is going to be entered. So maybe a reason to use both of them is since personal data is entered, since personal data is being entered, because like if you know all the Data Protection Act and everything, it talks about how data should be accurately kept and all those things. Then I can say if there's error with the data, then this could affect the patient's diagnosis and everything. If let's say they wanted to enter someone whose age is 54, but they ended up entering it as 45, then that could hinder the doctor's diagnosis of the patient, right? Then what else can I think? Okay, both of them individually cannot handle all the errors. Let's say that the validation, right? The validation is that it's length check and it should contain 4 numbers, but the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, and I end up typing 1, 3, 2, 4. Now the validation will give it mark it correct. Okay, you're fitting a criteria, you can move ahead. But the verification will now come in and say no, the data you have entered is not wrong. It doesn't match the original data, so that's wrong. That's why both of them are needed to ensure all the errors are being taken care of. Let's check. So validation is an automatic computer check, ensure that the data entered is sensible and fits within the set criteria. Exactly, I said those. Verification checks that the data on the original source document is identical to the data you have entered, ensure that the data is copied or entered correctly. because okay, so why it's needed is because it's personal data that needs to be correct. Data should be error-free to ensure patients are safe. If data is incorrectly entered, it could lead to consequences, and individually, they both cannot detect all the errors, right? Now, typically, the 6 mark question aren't usually like this, that they will expect you to get 2 like this, because if someone knows more from here and less from here, it's usually not this way. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, sometimes questions come up like this too. The manager of the Tavara Hotel has decided to computerize the hotel's room booking system. The new booking system, okay, so now this is about a booking system. I don't know, recently there haven't been questions on booking systems, so I would recommend you practice this as well. Very likely that can come. Will allow customers to book rooms online. Okay, so something with online booking system using an app on their smartphones. Before we continue, let me just drink water. Yeah. Okay. The manager has employed a system analyst. Okay, so chapter what? Six or seven, one of them, I think seven. Uh, System life cycle. Who will carry out research into the current system by examining existing document, okay, maybe not analysis stage, and completed questionnaire from staff. One item of information that the system analyst will need to identify is problems with the current system. Okay, state three other information that the system analyst will need to identify. So the first thing that the system analyst will have to identify is problems with the current system. So it's asking us what other problems will the guy need to identify. So since he or she is going to implement a new system, they should know the hardware and software requirements. They should know the user expectations and requirements, and they should know what else should the analyst know? I think these are the only two coming to my mind right now, but I don't know. Maybe the if I didn't know, then I would have probably like the third one. I would have probably said the data validations. No, I don't think validation will come here when they've already asked a question on that. He should know um the software requirements. I think I did mention that. Let's check. Let's check. So the oh my days, yes, the input, processing, and output of the system. The user analyst should know how the inputs are going to be of the system, how the outputs are going to be, how the system is going to process them. The user requirement, I said that. The hardware, software, said that. The information requirements for the new system. Oh yes, yes. So the new system, what are all the requirements for them? The informations about it, right? Oh, how did I miss that? No problem. Following the analysis, the system analyst will implement the new system using either parallel running or direct changeover. Evaluate these different methods of implementation. Okay, so starting with, let's say, parallel running, we could start that both systems will be used simultaneously. It will allow the workers to train gradually. There could be increased data redundancy or double entering of data. It's more expensive, time consuming. Then it's 6 marks, so like three points for both of them. What else do you know about parallel? Okay, that's all I can think of. Then coming to direct changeover, the change is instantaneous. It's more likely to have less errors because it's thoroughly checked before being implemented. There's no time for gradual training. Then workers will have to practice on um, they'll have to practice with like sample data and not the real data before using it. Then, oh yeah, even if one system fails, the other one is there, so that's something you can add. If the new system fails, there's no returning back, or the old system is not there. So that's something I would have said, given enough points. Describe the benefits and drawbacks of using an online booking system. Okay. Oh, 5 marks. Rarely get to see 5 marks. I mean, it's better than 6 marks, so yeah. I think I would say booking system. So you can book 24/7. It's easier to book and to cancel. That's two. Um, I think easier to book and then easier to cancel, I think is this thing. You do not need to wait in long queues, so it saves time and it saves money of traveling. And what else? Booking systems usually have a lot, but I've usually done it for like the other ones. But okay, what else can we think? I have given 5 points. I'm just thinking of anything else that I could add. Um, Nothing really is coming to my mind, so let's just check. I think I have mentioned more than enough over here, so no need to check that. 24. Oh, I only talked about the benefits. I even forgot that the drawbacks were there. Right, right, right. So fewer problems, the booking faster, immediate, easier to cancel or change booking 24/7. So I talked about the benefits. I forgot that the drawbacks are also there. So relies on telecommunication to make booking, needs internet access, security issues such as fraud or others seeing personal data. Wrong information could be added accidentally and this may be difficult to correct. Right, right, right. The hotel uses a van and a VLAN. Describe the differences between a van and a VLAN. I love questions when they just give it to us like this, like what is a van, what is a VLAN? Because over here, well, out of the 4 marks, I can easily get 1 mark for saying that VAN stands for wide area network. My second mark for saying that VLAN stands for wireless local area network. Then I can say that the VAN is used to connect to network over the internet or it's formed using a group of VLANs. If you connected to a router, something I could say. Then for VLAN is used over a small geographical area, usually a school building or an office site, and uses wireless access points. Whilst one doesn't do that, I think. So that's how I would have gone about this question. So yes, wide area network, wireless local area network. Oh yeah, so this covers a large geographical area and this covers a smaller geographical area. And the technology that we use. So WAN uses satellite technology, whereas VLAN uses wireless technology. Didn't think of that, but yes, that's there. A clothing retailer only sells its clothes on the internet. Discuss the benefits and drawbacks. This time I'm not forgetting the drawbacks to the clothing retailer to using internet shopping. Let me get 6 marks. Yes, sorry, 6 marks. So my drawbacks here, my benefits there, my drawbacks here. So I could say that okay, so it's selling online. So the shop could be open 24/7, could get a larger consumer base because people around the world can shop. Less overheads because you don't need a rent, less overheads, so no need to pay for insurance or rent. Then I could also add um okay, so you can handle the business from anywhere around the world with a stable internet connection. Then, so it's I think cheaper. I didn't add cheaper because no overheads. So cheaper and no less overheads will give me like different marks. While it's cheaper, I could also add that it's expensive because of high maintenance of the retail. Um, okay, so the customers are only online. The people that are physically shopping are not his consumer base anymore. So less profits there. Then would have to retrain his workers. Will have to pay someone to build website and manage it. So these five and 11 points. That's interesting. So 11 points should be enough. Saves cost of having a store, saves cost of rent, saves cost as less stuff. So like just saving the cost is 3 marks here. Larger consumer base, increased profits. Selling is not limited to shopping hours, so 24/7 should hopefully get me the marks like saying 24 open 24/7 except instead of this. Drawbacks, increased cost, yes. Larger warehouse, yes. Reliant on the technology. Didn't mention this. Operates 24/7, that's why increases overheads relies on customers that only shop online. Yes, sir. Then I think last question, almost done. A customer is purchasing new clothes from this retailer. Okay, so okay, why is it not working? Yeah, from new clothes from the retailer. Describe the step the consumer will take when purchasing the new clothes online using the internet. So step questions are basically like you do this, then this, then this, then this for like 5 marks over here. So if it's like imagine yourself that you open the internet, you go to maybe Amazon or like Jumia in Ghana or like Flipkart or any of those and the steps that you'll take. So the first things I'll do is open the website of the online retailer, create an account, set the password and log in. So log in, then scroll through the products and select the ones I want. I can add them to the cart. Then finally, I can go to my cart and pay for them virtually, and then pay virtually. Uh, Add to cart, and yeah, so pay virtually, and then a receipt and all that is gotten from them. That's something I could say. So like 7 points already. So yeah, load up the website, set up an account, log into the website, enter just these 4 points over here have given you 4 marks already. What else do you want when it's a 5 mark question? And there's so many other things to be there. Oh, it's online, so I even forgot about adding your address, adding your payment details and everything. Click on the item required, enter the quantity size, add items to the virtual cart, click on the virtual checkout, payment method, delivery method, add details, check the detail, and then log out of the system. Like, trust me, ICT has been really generous with this particular question. Not all the other questions, but this particular question for sure. The manager of a sports club is designing an online form for members to enter their personal details. The form must be accessible to all the members of the design. State 4 characteristics of a good form design. Okay, so I could say that it has used all, there's organized and formal layout and used like appropriate contrasting colors, fonts. So use appropriate content, so this is about the spacing, good use of white spacing and organized layout, using proper fonts and font sizes so that they're readable, and as well as contrasting colors. Then I could say have enough spaces to enter data, and maybe navigation buttons and help buttons or radio buttons to help people go through or navigate through the form. So that's definitely something I would have written. State 2 characteristics. This is really important. When they say 2 characteristics, they are only going to consider the first two that you write. After that, they are now going to care what you have written. Okay, so make sure you write only two and be confident with the two that you write. Of a good form design that would help users with visual impairment to enter their data. So if they're talking about entering their data, I could have a feature such as text to speech to hear the questions or the requirements, and then using voice entry data or something like that to enter it. I could also say use big fonts for so that it's clearly visible. Use navigation or help buttons to help them go through the form or design. And yeah, so that's something I would have said, and that's all for this stream.